Joon dragged Amara through the parking garage, past two bodies slumped against concrete pillars. She tried not to look at their faces, tried not to see the bullet holes. His grip on her wrist was firm but careful, always mindful of her balance, her belly. The SUV's back door opened, and he lifted her inside with surprising gentleness for a man who just killed two people. The vehicle pulled out before her seatbelt clicked. She watched the safe house disappear through tinted windows, her hands trembling against her stomach. He tapped a tablet screen and surveillance footage filled the display. 12 different cameras, 12 different locations, 12 different men stalking her over 6 months. Each clip ended the same way, Joon appearing from shadows, a brief struggle, then nothing. Her throat tightened watching him eliminate threats she never knew existed. One video showed her morning routine, throwing up. Him watching from across the street. Another showed her sleeping, lights on, and him on her fire escape checking locks. 6 months of invisible protection. 6 months of surveillance. She should have felt violated. Instead, she felt something far more dangerous. Safe. The industrial building looked abandoned. Rusted metal. Broken windows. Graffiti tags covering every surface. But when Joon pressed his palm to a scanner hidden behind an electrical box, steel doors slid open, revealing fluorescent lighting and clean concrete floors. The interior was a tactical fortress. Server racks hummed along one wall. Weapon racks lined another. Medical equipment gleamed in a sectioned area with a hospital bed and monitors. And in the corner, surrounded by boxes still being unpacked, was a nursery. White crib, changing table, mobile with tiny elephants dangling. Amara's breath caught. Shelves stocked with diapers, formula, baby clothes organized by size. He'd planned every detail. The kitchen had Nigerian ingredients. Yam flour, plantains, palm oil, her favorite chin-chin brand. 6 months of preparation. 6 months of building a life for her, for them. For a baby he'd never even felt kick. She turned to face him, anger and confusion warring in her chest. "You've been planning this since before I knew I was pregnant." His expression didn't change. "I knew the night we were together. You don't survive my world without planning for every outcome." He moved to the medical bay and pulled out a blood pressure cuff. "I need to examine you. Make sure the baby's okay after the stress." Her room had everything. Comfortable bed, private bathroom, books in English and Yoruba. He'd thought of everything except asking what she wanted. Amara lay awake listening to his footsteps patrol the facility, back and forth, checking cameras, testing alarms. At 4 a.m. she gave up on sleep and found him in the surveillance room, face illuminated by a dozen screens showing perimeter feeds. He didn't look up when she entered, just kept watching, scanning, searching for threats in every shadow. "I've lost everyone I cared about." His voice was quiet, hollow. "Parents killed in a Black Lotus operation gone wrong. Sister disappeared into a trafficking ring I was investigating. Min-Jung, my partner, betrayed me to the syndicate for money." He finally looked at her and she saw something raw in his eyes. "I won't lose you too." The vulnerability cracked something in her chest. She moved closer, saw the scars covering his forearms. Bullet wounds, knife marks, burns. Evidence of a life lived in violence. Her hand reached for his face before she could stop herself. He caught her wrist gently, his thumb brushing her pulse point. An alarm shrieked. They both jumped. False alarm, perimeter rabbit, but the moment was gone. Morning brought coffee, pregnancy vitamins laid out with her name on each bottle, and a video call that changed everything. The screen flickered to life, showing a woman who looked like she'd stepped from a magazine cover. Sharp cheekbones, perfect red lips, eyes like black ice. "Hello, Joon. Miss me?" Joon's entire body went rigid. Min-Jung's smile widened as her gaze found Amara. "So you picked the pregnant journalist over the mission. How romantic." She leaned back in her chair, gun visible on the table beside her. "Did he tell you we were partners? 5 years working together. 3 years sleeping together. I wanted marriage. He wanted freedom." Her attention shifted back to Joon. "Here's my offer. Give me the USB with all that trafficking evidence. Keep your pregnant pet. Walk away. We both survive." Joon's voice was ice. "The drive stays buried. Touch her and I'll kill you myself." Min-Jung's laugh was sharp glass. "Oh, darling, I don't need to touch her." She looked directly at Amara through the screen, smile turning venomous. "He'll abandon you like he abandoned me. But first I'll cut that baby from your belly and deliver it to him in a box." The screen went black. Joon destroyed the tablet with one strike. The destroyed tablet lay in pieces as Amara processed everything. Finally, she asked the question burning in her throat. That night, 6 months ago. Was it real? June's back was to her, shoulders tense. He pulled a file from a locked drawer and dropped it on the table between them, her photo, her address, her family tree. Mission objectives typed in clinical language. Seduce target if necessary. Acquire evidence. Neutralize threat. The betrayal hit like a physical blow, so I was just a mission. His fist slammed the table. You were a mission, past tense. Then you made that stupid joke about my terrible English and I forgot every protocol. You laughed at my kimchi comment and I realized I'd been speaking Korean without noticing. You fell asleep with your head on my shoulder, trusting me completely, and I knew I was screwed. He finally turned to face her. I chose you over the mission. That's why I'm wanted. That's why we're hiding. I burned my entire life down because the thought of you dying made me forget how to breathe. The baby kicked hard against Amara's ribs. Without thinking, she grabbed his hand and pressed it to her belly. He froze. Then his fingers spread wide, feeling the movement. His child. Their child. Everything changed in that touch. Days blurred into routine. Morning combat training modified for pregnancy. Her learning defensive positions. Him teaching her pressure points and escape techniques. You need to protect yourself if I'm not there. Afternoons spent meal prepping together. Him surprisingly good at cooking jollof rice after she taught him. Her learning to make kimchi after he walked her through fermentation. Evenings in the surveillance room sharing monitoring shifts. He'd talk to her belly in Korean, full sentences she couldn't understand but felt in her bones. She taught him Yoruba phrases, how to say hello, thank you, I love you. He repeated them carefully, accent thick but trying. Braxton Hicks' contractions scared them both. False labor at 8 months while she was cleaning her service pistol. He'd gone pale, hands shaking as he checked her vitals, listening to the baby's heartbeat like it was the only sound that mattered. I've delivered Bobbies in field conditions. War zones, refugee camps, but this is different. This is mine. The admission hung between them. Vulnerability he rarely showed. She cupped his face. I don't want our baby born in a war zone. Then we lay low, wait until full term, then disappear forever, somewhere with no extradition. Small house, normal life. The contraction hit while she was reviewing camera feeds. Sharp, breath-stealing, different from Braxton Hicks. June was beside her instantly, timing it on his watch. 15 minutes. Could be false labor. Could be real. Hospitals impossible. Too exposed. He prepped the medical bay with military efficiency. Sterilizing equipment, arranging supplies, testing monitors. His hands steady, but she saw the fear in his eyes. I've delivered field Bobbies. Never my baby. Another contraction. 12 minutes apart. She gripped his hand, breathing through it. He coached her through positions, pressure points to ease pain, when to breathe and when to push energy down. For 3 hours they existed in that space between crisis and calm. Labor slowing, false alarm maybe. They sat together on the medical bed, her head on his shoulder, his hand on her belly, feeling occasional kicks. We'll disappear to New Zealand, small coastal town. You can write under a pen name. I'll work fishing boats. Normal life. She smiled despite the fear. You'd be terrible at normal. His lips brushed her temple. For you I'll learn. The motion sensors screamed. Every screen showed the same nightmare. 12 operatives in tactical gear surrounding the building. Min-Jung's voice crackled through external speakers. Send her out or we burn you both. June moved like violence incarnate, pulling weapons from hidden caches, checking ammunition, his face a mask of cold rage. How did she find us? Amara's mind raced through possibilities. They'd been so careful, no digital footprint, no outside contact, unless... She walked to the nursery, that beautiful crib he'd assembled with such care, and ran her fingers along the underside. Found it, tracking device, magnetically attached, transmitting their location for weeks. He's been monitored this entire time. Min-Jung had played them perfectly. Let them feel safe. Let them plan a future, then strike when Amara was most vulnerable. The speakers crackled again, Min-Jung's voice honey-sweet and poisonous. I gave you time to bond. How considerate of me. Now send out the journalist and her little USB drive or I start burning. You have 5 minutes. June began weapons distribution, tactical vest on, extra magazines loaded. Amara grabbed his arm. I'm not hiding in a panic room while you die defending me. His eyes went fierce. You're 8 months pregnant. Yes. And I'm also a war correspondent who learned to shoot covering Boko Haram. She moved to the weapon rack and took down a Glock, checked the chamber with practiced ease. I'm not helpless, June. I never was. Pride and terror warred on his face. Then we fight together. The first breach came through the east wall, shaped charges blowing a hole in reinforced concrete. Joon returned fire from cover, 3-round bursts precise and lethal. Amara felt the contraction building. Real one this time, 4 minutes since the last. She breathed through it, gun steady in her hands. Joon glanced back between shots. How close. He dropped an attacker trying to flank them. Good, just breathe, I'll be right back. Gunfire, screaming. Then he was beside her again. You're doing great. Keep breathing. The absurdity would have made her laugh if another contraction wasn't tearing through her. She was in labor during a firefight, pushing out a baby while bullets punched through walls. Another breach, south side. She aimed through the gap and fired twice. Hit center mass. The man went down. Joon stared at her. Told you, war correspondent. The contractions were coming faster now. 2 minutes apart, baby crowning. She could feel the pressure. The unstoppable biological imperative. Joon kept one hand on his rifle, the other checking her dilation between firefights. Almost there. One more push. Min-Jung's voice cut through the chaos. I'm coming in, Joon. Let's end this face to face. The door to the medical bay exploded inward. Min-Jung stepped through smoke and debris, gun raised, smile vicious. Hello, lover. Joon stood between them, weapon trained on his former partner, unable to fire without exposing Amara behind him. Min-Jung's gun steady on his chest. This is how it ends. Protecting a woman who will leave you the moment she's safe, just like you left me. Amara felt the baby's head emerging, pressure unbearable, body taking over. She couldn't stop pushing even with a gun pointed at them. Get down. Her voice cut through everything. Joon dropped without hesitation. Amara fired past where he'd stood. 3 shots. Center mass. Min-Jung looked down at the blood spreading across her vest, surprise and rage mixing on her beautiful face. Then she collapsed. Joon was back at Amara's side instantly, hands sure and gentle as he delivered their daughter into a world of smoke and spent ammunition. The baby's first cry cut through the chaos. Alive, healthy, perfect. He cut the cord with a combat knife, wrapped her in a sterile blanket, placed her on Amara's chest. Sirens wailed outside, backup arriving. But Joon had planned for this too. Escape tunnel through the sewers, vehicle waiting 3 blocks away. He carried Amara and their daughter through darkness to light. Her mother and sister waited in a safe house in Lagos, tears and joy mixing. The USB drive she'd mailed to 5 journalists before labor hit the news cycle. 47 women freed, trafficking ring dismantled, justice served. New country, new names, new life. Joon held their daughter, Amara's head on his shoulder, exactly as he'd imagined. Do you still hate me? She smiled. I never hated you. I hated that you were right.